I'm Suzanne Sabilla. I'm the owner of Sabilla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company.
Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot. Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sabilla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and life and business hacks. And I am so excited to have this guest on our show. We always bring amazing, incredible guests on our show. And this guest, I'm super excited. So you got to watch our show today all the way till the end. So she's an emergency physician, an international speaker, and the CEO of Your Caring Docs, which provides help for organizations and employees to prevent burnout. She does self-care workshops. Welcome to our show, Dr. Tamara Beckford. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
And you get the hearts and the fire.
I love it.
And I to have you on our show. So excited to have you on Pivot Now. Woo! Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so happy to have you here. So we all want to know, how did you get into being an emergency physician, and what is your backstory, and how did you pivot in your life or business?
I love it. So absolutely. So again, thank you for having me on. I'm Dr. Tamara Beckford, and I'm an emergency medicine physician here in Houston, Texas. So how did I get into being an ER doctor? So interestingly, how did I even get into being a doctor? I thought I was going to be a pharmacist. So let's talk about pivoting. The pivoting started really early. So I got exposed to some programs during my high school years, and they were programs for careers in healthcare. So I thought, I want to be a pharmacist. My dad said, yeah, you should be a pharmacist. I said, okay. So I did the summer program. And, I was doing it at a hospital. So I was shadowing a hospital pharmacist. And this poor person had no clue what to do with a 14, 15-year-old. I hadn't learned any pharmacology, nothing. And so they had me in the hospital basement, which is where the pharmacy at this particular hospital was, filing charts in numerical order. So I was filing patients' charts. Now, if anyone has ever been a patient, you know what your medical record number. It's at least 9 numbers long, and they're jumbled. So I had to do those paper charts. This is way before electronic medical records. So boom, I decided, I don't think this is what I want. And so I pivoted. So the next year I asked if I can expose to a program. I was able to shadow a physician. And then, then I said, this is what I wanted. And as time went on, I got to meet an emergency medicine doctor. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. This doctor was a female, great at the time. And she was also pregnant. And it was at a teaching hospital. And I thought, wow, I really like the way that she's seeing patients. She's doing all these things. She's teaching. And I sat and I just watched her from afar. And this is a testament to those who have people shadowing them, or even if you're not having an official mentor or mentee relationship, but you're just doing your work and you're doing it with grace and you're doing it with the passion. There are people out there watching you. Really being inspired by you without you even knowing. So this doctor does not even know that she inspired me to become an emergency medicine physician. And this was from in the 90s. So ever there, that was my love for emergency medicine. And I worked my way towards that way before even starting medical school. I said that this is what I wanted to do. So
wow.
Yeah,
an amazing story. And also that you had mentors. I think that is so important in one's life
absolutely.
and in business too, is to have
Yeah,
mentors all along the way. So
absolutely.
how did you go about pivoting in your life now? Because now
Mhm.
you do a lot of workshops to
Absolutely.
help employees and organizations prevent burnout. So tell us a little bit more about that, and how did
Mhm.
you go about pivoting in your life and in your business?
That's a great question too. So, as an ER doc, or even as a doctor overall, I felt that at one point in my life that I'd accomplished this, because I mean, working towards getting any degree, especially a professional degree, you really put a lot of effort and a lot of
Mm.
years,
Mhm,
12
yeah.
or so years working towards it. So at first you have a fulfillment, but then you realize as the years go on, like something is missing.
Mm.
And with that, you're trying to decide, like, what is it that's missing? Am I not fulfilled in my career? Is it not fulfillment in my life? Like, where is this? So I thought that this was probably related to my life overall.
Mhm.
I'm in my early third, well, like, yeah, late 20s, early 30s, and then then life starts happening where you're getting married, and then I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
well, maybe that's it. And then it still wasn't truly it. I love my husband, and we had great times together, but there was still a little bit of a void. And I thought, well, maybe it's because I want to start a family. Maybe it was because I was having trouble starting a family when I
Mm.
did want to start one. And but I've been blessed that I have two boys, so I was able to start that family, and I'm having a good time, but there's still this little void. And in comes the pandemic. So let's talk about like a kick in the pants. And
Mhm.
then especially into the words pivoting. So the pandemic comes in, and I look around, I'm saying I wanted to do more with my life, which I
Mm.
know for those who are listening, you're like, what? You're an ER doc in the pandemic? You wanted to do more? Yes.
Mhm.
So as that time progressed, like, especially entering into the pandemic, I'm like, I can do more. I sought and saw entrepreneurship, and I never thought that that would be the thing that filled that void. So in I started going into entrepreneurship right when the pandemic started. So
Wow.
that time was a time where, as opposed to most of my colleagues who were really having a hard time emotionally and suffering, I found that I began to thrive. And it was really opposite of what should be happening. And I sat and I had to do a lot of introspection, as why am I thriving during this time? And this isn't thriving that I am the only one that's noticing it. Even at work, my colleagues, my medical director at the time, he even said it to me, like, wow, you're actually thriving through this time. You're doing a little bit better than some of your colleagues. And then I
Mm.
recognized that it was because of my mindset towards, one, what's going on in a pandemic, and two, that now I feel I found something to fill that void. And it was the way that I approached my day, and it was
Mm.
self-care. And I recognized, like, wow, this is such a powerful tool. And with those who find something powerful that's working for them, usually want to start to show others. And that's where I got into this part of my life where I'm like, wow, I'm, pivoting to not just working in the ER itself, but really doing that and incorporating this technique, incorporating this mindset, this lifestyle, and, showing others how to do so they too can thrive. So that's right.
Wow, I love that. I love that so much that you talk about the mindset as being so important and that
Mhm.
you pivoted towards that end, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm all about too. I mean, I wrote a book
Mhm.
about pivoting, about how
Mhm.
you can pivot in your life and in your business, and a lot of it is mindset. I would say about
Absolutely.
90% of what we
Yes.
do is mindset, right?
Yes.
Having that, and it's not just, oh, positive, positive, let's be all positive and happy and all of that. No, it's
Mhm.
really about looking at how you perceive your problems? Are they problems, or can you have opportunities? Do
Absolutely.
you look towards solutions? So I really love that you talk about that, and that you've helped others
Mhm.
going through the pandemic, because I've seen that too, where people
Yes.
are either it's been a traumatic part of
Mhm.
for them, or
Mhm.
they've actually seen it as more of a growth time for them. And it
Yes.
sounds like for you, it's been really a growth opportunity for you.
Yes, yes. It really was a period, or I should say is, because we're still, as much as we would think that we were completely through the pandemic, we are still in it. But it is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely a period of tremendous growth within this time. And it will growth in many things. It's growth in mindset, it's growth in my circle. Let's talk about pivoting. Also this was able to really expand my circle of sphere of influence, my friends. I started doing many things that I never would have thought about, and even things that I would have been afraid to do because of the way we talk about our mindset, which is something that happens a lot, right? For those who are in business, you let fear stop you.
Mm.
But then, I started to just embrace the fear and just recognize that it's always going to be there. So we'll just work together.
Uh-huh.
We'll work
That is so
together
true.
through this process. So there's
Yeah.
been a lot of growth, as you mentioned, that has occurred through this time. And I don't think that I would have really processed all of it and moved forward had it not been my mind during that time to say that, I want more. I want a little more.
So can you give us some tips on that? How did you go from having that, if you will, fear or wanting more? How did
Mhm.
you go about shifting your mindset? Give us some tools, if you will, or tips for us
Absolutely.
to be able to do that as well.
Absolutely. So first is recognizing when it's really recognizing what's going on in your life at this moment and where is it that you would like to be. And it doesn't
Mm,
have to be a very far, 10, 20 years. It would be great if you can do within 5 to 10 years. What is it that you um, want to accomplish, and what do you think is going to provide you fulfillment? So you're really working it with self, and it's not as much fulfillment for those around me or what they would like to see me do. No, what is it that you would like to accomplish? Because a lot of
mm.
us put a lot um, of ourselves and our growth on hold for family, for friends, for circumstances. So if none of that were an obstacle, what is it that you'd like? And that's one. So you've written that down. Number two, like,
Mhm.
how would you like to proceed? And then look around and see, are there others doing it? Because the interesting part is that you will feel like you are a silo, but you're not. There's so many people in other areas of the country, of the world, who are also feeling like they're silos. But together, once you find each other, you can move forward in strength and support and community. So that, I would say, is the second step, because community is so important to helping you achieve those goals. Because
Mm.
not only do you realize that, number one, you're not crazy for wanting to,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
which is so important. Is number two, like, wow, others are feeling the same way, which it really takes a lot of pressure off you. And then when you're in community, and you're moving forth and moving forward in community, there's always someone that's either a step ahead or a step behind. And you're able to learn from those who are ahead of you, and you're able to give back to those who are behind.
Oh,
And
I
all
love
of that
that. That's so great.
provides, right? It provides
Mhm.
such a sense of gratitude, and it's such a powerful sentiment to be able to help, but also to be able to be guided. So that I'd say is number two. And number three, which is the hardest part of all this, is don't stop.
Mm.
You have to keep taking action. And we say this and you'll hear it. And the reason why you hear it is because there's so many who want to stop, who want to quit when it feels like nothing's working. As my powerful group that I'm a part of it said, it is always working. And so I envisioned a volcano where it looks like nothing's going on, but underneath the lava and all that is bubbling. It's bubbling. So while you're looking at the surface looks like all the hard work that you're pouring into, all the sleepless nights and maybe the sweat and tears is for nothing. And it's like, no, it's all bubbling under the surface. So once you keep going, then it'll erupt. So then things will work out. But you'll never know until you continue to go and continue taking action. So
wow. I love that. Love that so much. As all of those tips are amazing to really focus on yourself and what it is that you want in your life, because that's true. A lot of times we have expectations from others, from our parents, from family members, from friends saying, oh, you should do this, or maybe think about that. What is it that you want to do intrinsically? What is it that motivates you? So love that. Second tip of community is so important. Connections with others is so important, and find a mentor. Yes. I always say that to my clients, like if you want to go a certain direction, or if you want to build a business, look at people that are already in a business and are successful at it, and look at them. And if you have that FOMO, fear of missing out, or if you're like envious of them, turn it around and see, wow, I can do that as well.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I think the connection piece is so important. And then the third tip that you gave, oh, wow, amazing. Yeah, don't quit. Because I always like that saying about don't quit like 30 seconds before the miracle happens, right?
Yes.
And it's so true, because a lot of times we're in it and then we don't see what can happen, right? We don't see what can actually happen. And if we quit before things actually explode, or as you're saying, the volcano erupts, it's like don't quit, right? Don't quit.
You'll lose all that hard work, and you'll feel it. And you know what's I love that's so interesting is while you're going through the process, you don't realize the growth that's occurring. It's others who are watching you. It's that friend who calls you intermittently and, hey, I haven't spoken to you for 6 months. And you'll probably start to lay your burdens down and say, oh, it's not working. And they remind you like, wow, 6 months ago, I remember when we were talking, you were saying that you wanted to get to this point. You're actually there. But in your mind, you have forgotten that you've moved to that process because you're looking forward to that next process and you haven't reached it in your mind. So you forget the growth that you've gone through or experienced because you are actually going through it, right? It's like that frog who's in the water and you're gradually turning up the temperature. So they're adjusting to it. And that's what's happening to you. So you're not realizing that, wow, you're making strides. You're really advancing. And even when you think that you're not, you are. You're learning new skills. You're learning new mindset. You're learning grit. You're learning just so much from going through the process itself. You're putting in the reps, as we'll say. So don't quit.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. It's so great. So powerful as well. So let us know about what the kinds of workshops you provide. So I know you do a lot of workshops to prevent burnout in organizations and for employees. So tell us a little bit more about that and actually how you got into that.
Absolutely. So as we mentioned, during this process as an ER doctor, I started to recognize how important self-care was. The routine, such as I call it a wake-up routine because I work nights. So I'm an overnight ER doc. We call that a nocturnist in my sense. So I don't call mine a morning routine because in the morning I'm going to bed. But I call it a wake-up routine, the power of the wake-up routine, the power of of movement, the power of, as we just mentioned, community, which is socialization. So once I started to recognize all of that, I decided that this is something that can move organizations forward. Because if we really think about organizations are really made up of a lot of individuals, just like human, like all of us, like the human body. And if we work as one, then you're able to really move the mission of the organization forward. But it's important that those who are at different levels of the organization recognize the importance of these tools and techniques to reduce their employees' stress and therefore reduce the burnout. And with doing so, the end formula is that you'll increase the productivity. So how do you do this? And it's providing these stress reduction workshops for the employees within the organization. So that's when I decided, I said, wow, if this has helped me and it's helped me to maintain, especially through the most challenging time as an ER doctor, because if we really sit and put a precedence on this, as an ER doctor, there are no other ER doctors who have ever gone through a pandemic who is alive. So we did not have a blueprint, we didn't have something that's saying, okay, well, when this happens, this is how you handle it. So these are things that we had to go through on our own and learn our techniques on how to be not only resilient and to grow through these process. So once we learn this, I believe that this technique that's helping in me as an ER doc can definitely help an organization, so that's how these powerful self-care workshops came about. It's
Can you
really
share with us your tips and tools, or tips and techniques, if you will? On this part of our program and this part of our show, we have it what we call 3, 2, 1, go. And
3, 2,
so
1,
it's
go.
give us 3 tips, 2
Absolutely.
techniques, and 1 action item that we can take to move us forward in our life or in our business.
Absolutely. So 3, 2, 1, go. I love that it's 3, 2, 1 because I actually took this from Mel Robbins' 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, which is get up.
Get up, yeah.
Get up, which is that's the part of the wake up routine. So you're getting up, and initially you are invested in self. So you're not looking at social media, you're not using you're not checking emails, you're getting and you're investing in self. So that's your morning routine. So that's the 3, 2, 1, go, right? Number 2 is really movement. So I say movement and I don't say exercise, because not everyone is really, exercise differs for those. So it's movement. And then 3 is the community, as I mentioned. So what is your community? What's helping you move you forward? So 3, 2, 1, 1, get up. At the end of 3, 2, 1, go. 2, invest in self. And when I say that, that's investing in yourself daily before you go out. So I call that entering into the world and not having the world enter into you. And that's when you don't have the world enter. So the first thing you're doing is you're entering into the world with your mind correct. So I've already listened to either my motivating podcast, or I've read my motivating book, or I've meditated. And then I enter. Then I can look at the social media. Then I can read the emails from work. Then I can read the emails from friends. And those won't affect you emotionally. So you're not going to react. You will just respond. So, and like I said, the community or your socialization, who are you around with? Are you around people who are keeping you motivated, who are keeping you positive, or are you around people who are pulling these energies out of you from persistent negativity? So keep that. So that's your number 3.
Love it, love it, love it. This is so great, Dr. Tamara. I love this. I mean, especially the whole thing about going inward before you go outward, right? The whole thing of how did you describe that, going into your inner world before you go into the outer world? I love that. And the whole thing about like meditation or listening to some motivational podcasts. That's so great to start your day off with that instead of like listening to problems or
Yes.
right? Or
Yes.
going on social media, which a lot of us do, right?
Yes.
Looking at emails, looking at text messages. Oh, got to text this person. It's rather than doing that is going into your inner
Going
world, saying,
inward.
okay, I'm going to start this day on a positive note and a positive mindset. So I love that.
Yeah. So you build
Fantastic.
yourself up before you
Yeah,
enter.
yeah. So
Mhm.
what is the one action we can take to move us forward? I mean, is that the action that we can take in terms of
Well, the,
doing
the the action, interestingly, is really this thing right here. Put it across the room.
that?
Put it
Ah,
away. And for those of you guys who are listening, like, what is that thing? It is your phone or your electronic devices. That's one of the best things that I have done. I put my phone way across the room. And for a couple reasons, especially when you're trying to change a habit or change a mindset, the hardest thing to do to change it is if you have these barriers that's making it so easy for you to continue into this negative habit. So I put my phone way across the room. So when the alarm goes off, we said 3, 2, 1, go, go. I have to get up and go.
uh-huh.
So I go and I will go, and now I'm not going and snoozing because I already had to walk across the room. So now I get up and go. That took a while, but we got, I got into it, and then now I just get up. Now I used to be the snooze queen, but I'm no longer a snooze queen because I've learned to 3, 2, 1, get up and go. So that's one of the first actions that I would say. The next action, it really requires another introspection. What is it that is making you feel at your best? What is it that
Mm,
makes you? And that's the self-care part. And do a little bit of that every day. Do a little bit of it every day. Is it reading? You know, is it
uh-huh.
listening to a motivating music? Is it listening to music that made you just feel silly? Is it listening to something that makes you laugh? Carve out a little bit of your day to do that. So that's your maintenance. That's your maintenance, right? So get up and go, and then carve out a little bit of time to do what's important to you. And
Wow,
then
love it.
the third thing, which is so easy for us to forget to do, is to practice gratitude.
Mm.
A lot of times we're thinking about what's not working. Oh,
Hmm.
this is just not working. Man, no one appreciate. No, let's practice gratitude. What is it that you are thankful for? You know? And you'll find out once you're doing that, a lot of the anxiety goes away. A lot of the negative thoughts will go away because you realize that you're so thankful and grateful for so much more that's going on
Mm.
in your life. And there are more positives that are going on than you are looking at.
So true, so true. I mean, I have a gratitude journal where I
Mhm.
write in that, every morning of
Yeah.
what I'm grateful for because it's so true. You can start looking at all the problems like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I got you know, my
This
husband's got to have the surgery and, my son's going off to school and I don't know how he's doing in
is
school and,
mhm.
all those
Yeah.
things. You can start focusing in on that. And then all you see are the problems, right?
Yes.
Rather than seeing, oh, I'm really grateful that I have, my husband is doing well. I'm grateful for my son or I'm grateful for
Absolutely.
the life that we have. I'm great. So when you start focusing
Mhm.
on that, it actually, the gratitude explodes, right?
Yes.
I love that
Amplifies.
about being grateful,
Yes.
and having the gratitude. So, so great. So great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'll add to that too, that when we do, our mind looks for things, and it's we might feel like we can't control our thoughts, but we really do have control over it. And your mind looks for what you feed it or what you feed
Mm.
into it. Just like when we are there and we see this red car and we're like, wow, I've never even noticed the red car, right? And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you're noticing more and more red cars. The same with practicing gratitude. When you start to practice it, you're adding more positivity into your life, and you start looking for more positive as opposed to the negative that's consistently there bombarding you. So that's one of the real beauty and joy of practicing gratitude.
Yeah, and I can imagine too. I mean, as an emergency physician, I mean, you're
Mhm.
dealing with cases all the time, right? People come
Absolutely.
to the hospital
Mhm.
because they're in a traumatic situation or something happened to their body, their physical
Mhm.
well-being.
Absolutely.
And to have that kind of, I don't know, that wherewithal to be able to deal with that.
Mhm.
I mean, that's why I'm curious as to how you go about doing that. If people are in that kind of a situation where they're dealing with like trauma, for example,
Mhm.
or they're
Mhm.
dealing with a problem, how do you go about shifting your perspective? How do you go about doing that?
Yes, absolutely. And the first I would say it's not easy.
Mm,
As an ER doc on my side, as a professional, I've been trained to handle this. So, as the doctor, from the doctor's perspective, I approach my patients with two mindsets. One, I have to do the best with the training that I have and be objective. And two, I have to recognize that these are people and I have to bring my human side to them. So it's not unusual to see me at the bedside sitting and talking with the patient on a human nature.
mm,
Do you completely understand what's going on? Or, I know that this is a huge change and shift in your life right now. Is there anything else that we can do for you? That's the human nature. Now, from the perspective of recognizing when I do leave the hospital, how do I handle all of that I see? Because as I
mhm.
mentioned, there, I see people's life change just like that.
Yeah.
One bad decision, one decision that had nothing to do with you. You were just
Mm,
going about your day, So when I see all of that, it makes me one, I have to learn to appreciate what I do have because I recognize that it can change within a flash. So that gratitude that you're mentioning, I really have to incorporate it in my life and be grateful for my family, grateful for them being healthy. I'm grateful that they're getting over the viruses, grateful that I am able to be there and to help to provide for my family, to provide experiences. And with all of that, I really delve deep. And this is something that I know that maybe even some of your viewers might even want to do, which is that vision board of really what is your vision for your life and what are some of the things that you want for your family that you can do right now and not wait for the big moments for this to occur. And like for me, it's something that I put like I want every month to have a great experience with my children, to show them something new, to have so when I do that, then I feel fulfilled. And so if something is happening to me that I know that I've given my best and my all, and therefore I'm less likely to reduce to the guilt process. And so that's how I handle it. Others might do it differently, but I would encourage you to just find a small way for you to completely bring joy to your life and to those who are have meaningful parts of your life, like your family. And for me, it's through what I wrote down in my vision board. And I'll tell you, once you do that, it'll start to work.
Wow. Again, incredible, incredible advice, incredible tips. I mean, I love that again about
Mhm.
having a vision board and really seeing again, what is it that you want in your life? What do you want to bring into your life and be
Mhm.
focused on that? I also like that you said bringing in joy in your life as well. Like, what is it
Mhm.
that brings you joy? And
Absolutely.
happiness, because again, I mean, I can imagine as an emergency physician,
Yeah.
you're dealing with so many traumatic, difficult cases on a
Yes.
daily basis. And so to have that self-care is so important as a physician. And
Oh,
it's so important for our audience, as to have self-care is,
mhm.
is, is, is critical,
Oh, yeah.
to be able to be effective in one's
Mhm.
work and one's home life as well.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm wondering, do you have any other, like any programs or anything that ways that we can connect with you? Can
Absolutely.
you let us know about that? How can we
Yes.
connect with you? I mean, after our show, we'll again have all your social media platforms and everything on
Mhm.
this recording. How can we connect with you? And do you have anything that you're offering to our audience?
Absolutely. Yes, I am. So for this week, actually, on the 27th, we are having a free masterclass for those for organization. It's called Your Team's on the Edge. So for those organizations who you're having a very high stress level within your team, within your organization, these are 7 ways to use self-care to boost your team's productivity. So that's a free masterclass, and you can register for that at my website, which is yourcaringdocs.com. That's yourcaringdocs.com/masterclass. On my website, you can delve and dive into all things self-care, for interviews, for my newsletter, which is out weekly, and also you'll find out about our programs. So as we mentioned earlier, we have half-day workshops on self-care that we offer for organizations. We'll have 8 weeks workshops and also a 12-week workshops. So if you want to learn more, you can go to the website, or you can send me a message at Dr. Beckford at yourcaringdocs.com.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And before we leave, we want to know what your favorites are. I love this part of the show too. So we want to know your favorites. What's your favorite food?
So my favorite food, I had to really think about this. I had to say something yummy. It's caramel. Oh, I
Oh,
love it.
wow. Okay.
I love caramel. I
So
can't
just
eat it all
plain?
the
Do you put
time,
it
but
on
I
apples or anything like that? Or
yeah,
just
so caramel on apples, caramel on caramel. Add
caramel
like
and
out
caramel?
the
Doesn't
way,
matter. Just caramel.
caramel on ice cream. I think if
Yeah.
anything you want to make it better, add caramel.
Sounds good. Sounds really good. What about your favorite find? What's been your favorite find?
So one of my favorite finds, I'll say, there's this not too far from me. There's this retail or resale store that's called Hope's Chest. So in there, I find lots of jewelry, especially I think these are from families who have donated their older jewelry, or from estate sales. So they're very, very cute, unique jewelry that I find there. So I love, love, love going to Hope Chest. And it also supports the community because it's part of the Christian charity for the community where I live. So
Oh, that's
it's a great
great.
thing. Mhm.
Wow. You can get jewelry too, but
You get
while you're
jewelry
contributing. So that's
and
nice.
clothing and all these unique items, and then you support the
Yeah.
community. Like, how
Love
great
it.
is that?
That's great. That's great. What
Mhm.
about your favorite film? Your favorite
My
film?
favorite film. Alrighty, I am an action film lover. I'd say what one that I can just not pass up are the James Bond movies.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
yes.
And each of them, I love the
Uh-huh.
Sean Connery and up all the way up until Daniel Craig. And I think that if it's on, I'll probably have to stop and watch. So
Yeah.
yeah,
My father-in-law was so into the James Bond movies, so
I love
we'd always watch the
it.
James Bond movies. Yeah, love them, love them. What about your favorite fitness?
My favorite fitness, yoga. I know strength training is very important, especially for us ladies. We don't think
Mm.
about it. Strength training, really building our muscles. But yoga has been so important, and that's another great way to also do training and to build. But as we get older, these wear and tears really get you. So the yoga and stretching and helping, that's just been very good. So
Sounds
really enjoy
good. Yeah. Do
it.
you do any of that Bikram yoga with the heat? No.
No, I am
I
doing
know.
the stretching so that I can get up and go with my 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I love it. Well, it's so great to have you on our show. Thank you so much. Feel really honored to have you on our show, Dr.
Thank you.
Tamara. So really appreciate all of your advice, all of your tips and tools and techniques. And again, you can find Dr. Tamara on our website. So on Pivot Now, you can find her on Pivot Now and connect with Dr. Tamara. That'd be great. And again, to all of you that are watching, we're here live every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So live life abundantly. Pivot now. Change and shift your energy. Pivot